Hey everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video for you to talk a little bit about the eclipse and how to survive it, basically. Um, I know, especially in astrological communities, there's a lot of talk about eclipses and oh my god, it's eclipse season, and how freaked out people get about that. And um, there's just certain aspects in astrology that a lot of people tend to doom and gloom about. Um, and that's one of them. So I did just want to pop in here and do like a little quick survival guide to help you get through them and help you feel a little bit better about the situation. And then I'm not going to do like a pick a card or anything, but I am going to pull a card from my Amenti Oracle. It's one of my favorite, especially for advice. So we're going to pull one card from there and then read it out of the book, because I think the book is really awesome and profound and it always has amazing advice. So that's what we'll do at the end. But first, yeah, let's jump into the eclipse and how one moves through all of that energy and still be able to stay in one piece. Well, sort of. I mean, the nature of eclipses are really to just kind of shake things up. It's like a big, basically cosmic shakeup of all of the energies that are going on. It is bringing me to the show The Expanse. It's also a series of books, but it's a sci-fi show on Amazon. Really, really good. There's one character in there, his name is Amos, and his kind of backstory is he had a really rough childhood, orphaned, grew up in a brothel, just, bad neighborhood, grew up in gangs, stuff like that. And he talks about, there's several scenes where he talks about this concept of like when he was growing up, and there would be like a shift in power dynamics, someone's doing a power grab or whatever, and he says that it's the churn. You just got to wait for the churn, that's what he calls it, the churn. And it's, yeah, basically a shakeup of the power dynamic of the environment. And he says really the only thing that you can do in those situations is just wait for it to be done and see who's on top at the end. And that's kind of what you have to deal with eclipses as well. There's just so much chaotic energy that happens with them that really all you can do is kind of like sit back, wait, watch what happens, wait for the dust to settle, and then make your moves going from there. There's a little bit of energy, kind of like a Mercury retrograde, where things, but it's more than that. It's more immediate and intense, really. But yeah, kind of the same thing. It's one of those situations where if you've made plans about something after the eclipse, it's going to be probably pretty unrecognizable and you're going to have to start over anyway. So it's better to just kind of wait and see what happens, go from there after the dust settles, and then kind of replan, because just things happen. That said, eclipses do not always affect everyone. It really depends on your own chart. If you know your own personal birth chart, your natal chart, you're going to understand a lot better how an eclipse is going to affect you. There are collective energies, like a collective theme of eclipses. Right now we're on the Aries Libra axis of eclipses. We're actually shifting from the Taurus Scorpio axis to the Libra Aries axis. So going forward for the next couple of years, all of the eclipses that happen will be on that Libra Aries axis. That axis is all about me and I versus we and us. Whereas Aries is me, I, my needs, what I want, my direction. Libra is us. Where are we going to go? What's the best for us? And it's usually, again, we're talking about Libra also represents one-to-one relationships, so friends, romantic partners, yeah, work partners, just any important one-to-one relationships that you have with someone is going to be represented in that 7th house Libra energy. So that's kind of the theme of them. Also, right now, this particular eclipse that's happening on October 15th is going to be on that Libra Aries axis, and it's also involving Pluto and Mars. If you want to check back on those videos, and Eris, and if you want to check back on those videos that I just posted the last few weeks, those will kind of give you a little bit more energy, because all of that energy is going to be mixed up in this eclipse. So we've already been kind of feeling it, and that's another thing with eclipses. You can feel them before they actually happen. There's, you know, it's kind of a big window of influence, actually. And they can have a chain of events associated with them as well. They can either start a chain of events, or they can be, or you can feel the effects of a chain of events that has started, you know, a month or so ago, 2 months ago, whatever. So just, there's a lot to factor into that. But yeah, so the best way to understand how it's going to affect you is to know your birth chart and to know where your major planets are. And if you have planets in the sign, or especially if you have planets or major points in your chart that are aspecting the degrees of the eclipse, in this case, it's 21 degrees Libra. So if you have planets that are at 21 degrees Libra, 21 degrees Aries, 21 degrees Capricorn, or 21 degrees Cancer, you're going to be feeling this eclipse the most. And it's going to probably be pretty intense for you, because the aspect that all of those signs make with this eclipse are dynamic, change-inducing, uncomfortable aspects. That doesn't mean that the result of the change isn't going to be good. It totally could be. And that's another thing that you need to remember about eclipses, is to not judge them, and actually not even judge the things that happen during them, because it can open up windows of opportunity later down the road, or immediately, or, you know, so just it's important to not judge them. That again is going to depend on your relationships with endings and beginnings too. So that's something that you have to think about. Like I said, those cardinal signs, if you have planets in the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn at 21 degrees, you guys are going to be feeling this the most. The planets that are there, especially your personal planets and your ascendant. So Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and your ascendant. If any of those are in that area, you're going to be feeling this. The other signs that could be feeling this more than others would be the air and the fire signs, because the eclipse energy is going to be making aspects to those, but they're easier flowing aspects. So they can actually end up being good things. So, you know, something positive, there could be a positive ending for you. Again, you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt too. It's like, there just could be a lot of different outcomes, and just basically don't judge anything. However, if you are in one of the air or fire signs, so Gemini, Aquarius, or Leo, Sagittarius, there could be some really positive opportunities on the horizon for you, but you will have to make an effort to take advantage of them, because we're talking about some sextiles and trine aspects, which means that you just kind of, they're right there for the taking, but you do have to kind of reach out and grab them. And if not, they could pass you on by. So watch out for those. The other signs are, which would be earth and water, the mutable and fixed earth and water. So Scorpio, Taurus, Virgo, Pisces. You probably won't feel this as much. You might feel more of the Plutonian pull, wanting, there might be some of that just because that's an easier aspect for you, element wise. Anyway, so that's this particular eclipse that's happening. If you do know your birth chart already, or you have that somewhere, or you've had a chart done or whatever, definitely refer to your birth charts and see where those planets are at. Like, see where everything is at, see where the eclipse is going to hit, see if it's going to be aspecting any of your planets and stuff like that. If you don't, there's all kinds of places out there that you can get your birth chart done. I actually do them. I do readings. There's a lot of different astrologers that can do readings. There's websites that you can do a birth chart for free. My favorite one, the one that I've used for over 20 years, is astro.com. There's so much information on that site. It's just one giant rabbit hole of astrological information, and which is why I've used it for over 20 years. But you can do a free birth chart on there. And that way you can at least know where your planets are. I also like the way they have them laid out. I know some of the newer charts, when you go and, you know, have your chart done, it gives you like columns and tells you, and that's fine too. It's however you want to read it. I personally like the Astro style because it's in an actual circle chart, and I can like see how things are aspecting each other a little bit better. It's more of a geometry math as far as a other kind of math. So yeah, anyway, so astro.com if you want to pull your natal chart, and there's also so much information on there, it's not even funny. Secondly, for a really, really in-depth eclipse survival guide, you want to check out Susan Miller at astrologyzone.com. She is another OG astrologer that I have followed for over 20 years and had several books. She's awesome. One of the first ones I started reading about and following, actually. Yeah, her website, again, that's astrologyzone.com. Her website has a really super comprehensive eclipse survival guide list. So much information on there, and she has it listed out, and like just so much information in there. But yeah, so those are some references for you: astro.com, astrologyzone.com. And yeah, really just kind of like try not to judge things that are going on. Sit back, watch what happens, wait for things to settle, go from there. Like, that's really the quickest, most succinct, best advice. If you do kind of want to know a little bit more about some of the energies that have been going on and that are involved in this eclipse, you can watch my other two videos that I have on my page, the one about Eris and then the one about Mars and Pluto, because those, like I said, are wrapped up in this eclipse as well. So that said, it is a new moon eclipse, so you do still have those new moon energies of planting seeds and starting things, and that's there as well. It's just that it's like a new moon on steroids, so you don't really know what's gonna happen from there. Like, right now I'm kind of getting the visual of Jack and the Beanstalk, you know, like you could plant something and it could like take over your life. Or mint. Yeah, you ever planted mint? Like aloe, have you ever planted aloe? Like, you kind of got to be careful about what you're planting. Again, like, this is because it's a new moon on 11, new moon on like over 11, if I'm being honest. Yeah, just lots of energy going on. So that's what I have to say about the eclipses. Definitely check out those sites. They'll be definitely helpful. And then, yeah, let's just do a quick advice from the Amenti deck. I did shuffle these really good. I'm going to give them another just little toss here. Let's see what we got. I think we want this one right here. Interesting. Trying to get it good. I am trustful in my relationships. Okay, so also remember I said that this eclipse specifically being on that Aries Libra axis, or specifically dealing with situations of ourselves versus the other. So I am trustful in all my relationships. Is that what it says? Oh, hold on, let me find it. Yes, I am trustful in my relationships. Okay. Let me just get a drink of water here before I start reading. My voice has been kind of weird. I'm sure it's allergy related. Okay. I am trustful in my relationships. Our personalities are forged from a dynamic combination of the natural disposition called forth from genetics and the nurturing of our families during the developmental ages of our youth. Nature and nurture walk hand in hand as we follow the path laid in front of us by experience embedded into epigenetics. Sense memories become manifest from the tendrils of these experiences, which can either taint or tether our lens of perception and projection. Whether we realize it or not, we most often tend to see things as we are, not necessarily as they are. How we relate to the world is rooted in how we relate to our own nature, and what we choose to nurture inside of our heart shimmers in the light we shine on the mask of personality chosen. When we are secure in ourselves, we can find security reflected back in the relationships we cultivate and allow. When we relate to our relationships with the intention of seeking vision within the fractal fragments of the greater whole, we can find and unite to a consciousness that sees and nourishes the interconnected nature of all. Lakota tradition shares this concept with the prayer, which translates to all my relations. Yeah, it's a Lakota words. I'm not even gonna, I will butcher it, so we're not gonna even go there. But it translates to all my relations, or we are all related, and honors the harmony that reverberates through every realm of consciousness and every walk of life. The Lakota cherish this prayer, their prayer, as a tenet of their cultural ethos, and this perspective is not something that is taken lightly. In applying the ideal of finding trust in relationships, we are reminded to trust that we are a microcosm of a macrocosm, a meta of a metaphor, a mirror of one mind. Famed theosophical writer and one of the first to use the term New Age, Alice A. Bailey, also emphasized the notion of right human relations within her occult teachings. As a channel for the Tibetan master, Dewal Cole, I hope I didn't butcher that too, but she taught that meditation was the vehicle for students to imagine right human relationships by visualizing love and light pouring into all human hearts and minds. When we feel insecure, we must remember that the tendrils we tend toward may reveal lessons in the tapestry woven. If we see a certain pattern that is a projection of pain, broken promises, and poor treatment, we must pause and meditate on what may be learned and how we may let this go so that a new design can emerge. Transmute tension with the power of breath, the beauty of awareness, and the security of knowing that time becomes malleable when we can relate to it in confidence. So I hope that works out for you guys. I hope you can have a good eclipse season. We have another one coming up towards the end of the month, and I'll do another video then. And I hope you have a good rest of your week. Thanks. Bye.